Hello, everyone, and welcome. Okay, let's gather around and dive right into one of the most famous stories ever told. It's called The Boy Who Cried Wolf. We're going to look at this classic tale about a young shepherd boy, the choices he made, and what happens when we don't tell the truth. Now, before we start, let me ask you a question. Have you ever played a trick on someone? Think about it for a second. Sometimes, playing a prank seems like a really fun idea in the moment, right? But as we'll see in our story today, tricks can actually make people feel pretty upset, and they can cause some very unexpected problems. Section 1. A lonely shepherd boy. So, our story begins with a young boy who lived right near a big, dark forest. His job was actually very simple. Every single day, he had to take the village sheep up a hill to eat grass. But because he was up there all by himself all day long, he felt super bored and really lonely. He just wanted some entertainment, something exciting to happen. Section 2. The first prank. Well, one day, just to amuse himself, the boy decided to play a trick. He ran all the way down toward the village, shouting at the top of his lungs, "Wolf! Wolf! A wolf is attacking the sheep!" And wow, it worked. The villagers immediately dropped all their heavy tools, stopped their work, and rushed up that hill as fast as they could to help him. But let's look at what happened next. This perfectly illustrates what a lie is. You see, the boy shouted that there was a scary, dangerous wolf. But what did the villagers actually find when they got to the top of the hill? Absolutely no wolf. Just a bunch of peaceful, grazing sheep. The boy just laughed and said, "Ha ha ha, I tricked you." But let's think about the villagers' feelings here. They were incredibly annoyed. They had stopped all their important work to run up a huge hill, all for a totally false alarm. So grumbling and upset, they went right back down to work. Section 3. A repeated mistake. Now, what do you think the boy decided to do next? Well, a few days later, he was bored all over again, so he resorted to the exact same trick. He yelled, "Wolf! Wolf!" And because they were good neighbors, the villagers came running up that hill a second time to save those sheep. But here's where things changed. When they got up there and saw it was another hoax, they weren't just annoyed anymore. They were angry. Really angry. The boy wasn't just being silly. He was completely wasting their time and taking advantage of their kindness. So they looked right at him and gave him a very serious warning. They said, "You should not lie. One day, no one will believe you." That is such an important lesson. But sadly, the boy just shrugged it off. He completely ignored their excellent advice. Section 4. The real wolf appears. Let's take a look at how this builds up. See, it started on day 1 with the very first lie. Then, a few days later, he told the second lie. And that pattern of lying led right up to this incredibly scary moment. One afternoon, a real hungry wolf finally came out of the forest and actually started chasing the sheep. There was absolutely no laughing now. The boy was truly frightened. He was in real danger. But because of his past tricks, he was in big, big trouble. He ran as fast as his legs could carry him, screaming in absolute panic. "Wolf! Wolf! Please help! It's a real wolf!" He yelled as loudly as he possibly could, desperately hoping someone would come to his rescue. And down in the village, everybody heard his cries perfectly well. But remember those tricks? Because of his past lies, they just shook their heads and said, "No, we won't be fooled again." They thought it was just another prank, so nobody stopped their work and no one came to help. Final section. The price of lying. Because no one came to help, the wolf attacked the flock, and sadly, many sheep were lost. The boy was absolutely heartbroken. He finally realized that it wasn't just the wolf that caused this awful thing to happen. It was his very own lies. And that brings us to a really, really crucial word: trust. Trust means believing that someone is honest, good, and will tell the truth. The boy figured out the hard way that when you lie, you don't just trick someone, you actually make them lose their trust in you. So, the story leaves us with 2 big lessons today. First, lying always has consequences. And second, once people lose their trust in you, it is incredibly difficult to earn it back. Now, the boy did learn his lesson, and from that day on, he always told the truth. But as we finish up our story today, I want you to think about this. Why is it so absolutely important to always be honest with our friends and family?